Should adults in their 20s be living with their parents? Does living with parents at that age ruin your romantic life? What if your parents are abusive or you just don't get along well? Do you need to leave your parents' home and take responsibility for your own life and finances to learn how to be an adult? But, before we get started, welcome Earthlings to Redditamin, a channel dedicated to popular and trending topics as well as tricks and tips to manage your daily life and relationships. Click like and subscribe and I promise you won't be abducted by aliens while you sleep. On subreddit Unpopular Opinion, OP opines, living with your parents for most of your 20s is the most financially smart thing you could do for yourself. I'm using mine to get my bachelor's and master's degree for free by using the CalVet waiver in which I make less than $13,000 per year to qualify for waived tuition. Even if I didn't have that waiver, the more time I spent living at home, the less student debt I would have. This whole independent living thing is a scam. I want an apartment too, I just can't afford it, haha. Top comments are, there are lots of ways to save money. Which ones are worth the effort and/or sacrifice depends on the context. Right. Nobody believes that living at your parents' home isn't financially smart. Eating rice and beans for dinner and eggs for breakfast every day with zero variation is also very financially smart. You could also exclusively use the e-library to provide all of your entertainment permanently. No gas or hobby money wasted. No leaving the house ever is financially smart. It's really easy to be financially smart if you completely ignore human wants and circumstances. I think it's because decades ago a young adult could easily live independently, have a house and a family in their early 20s. You would have looked like a loser if you stayed at home with your parents. My parents had that mentality too, typical boomers who didn't realize the world changed. Kicked me out at 18 before I could get an education, wasted years working for minimum wage. Houses here are like $1 million minimum now, I'll never own a home lol. My friends who lived with their parents until they were 25 to 30, got a good education and saved money, even they struggle to buy houses. At this point I aspire to be a hermit. Owning a random piece of land with a trailer sounds like heaven to me, really hoping Starlink works well. As long as you're not a shithead to your parents and help out around the house. This is the secret. I don't mind as a parent my children living here if that's what they need to get a leg up, but don't treat me like your butler, maid and short order cook. Participate in running the household and throw some groceries in the fridge every once in a while. Wouldn't even kill you to volunteer to help your dad clean the leaves out of the gutter either. Are you an adult living at home with your parents for financial reasons? Hard for a stigma to straight up stop just because we want it to. Most young people in America nowadays realize that people who live with their parents are doing the smart thing. But just because others realize why you're doing it doesn't mean it doesn't negatively affect you. Everyone I've known who has lived back home after college, including myself, has gone through a bit of social separation for a period. It makes it harder to get alone time, makes you physical further from your social circle usually, and makes dating much harder. Overall, just understanding and respecting when others make that choice doesn't negate the lifestyle changes that occur when living with your parents. In America, at least. Usually when people are older and live at home they don't expect anything from parents. A 26-year-old living at home can cook for himself and do his own laundry, dishes and everything. Have your own hobbies, go out, most things remain the same except you sleep at home instead of paying someone else money to sleep somewhere else. Financially, yes. Socially and psychologically, I would say quite the opposite. It is often the most financially smart and most socially dumb thing you could do for yourself. I moved out in my 20s while changing careers and studying and it was the best decision ever, although it cost me a good amount of money. But I don't live in the US and we usually don't become poor by studying here. Yep, all the people acting like OP is being ridiculous because not everyone can stay with their abusive parents. Well, not everyone can afford to move out either and most people don't have abusive parents. It really just depends, but there is definitely more shaming in American culture for those adults who do live with their parents than the ones who move out, so I think that's why it's an unpopular opinion. It highly depends on the family, to be honest. Some people's parents still treat their full-grown sons and daughters as young children and think they're entitled to monitor every aspect of their lives, which is why I moved out and never looked back. I still visit every now and then, but I would happily pay hundreds in rent every month just to not live there. It's only worth it if you get on with your family. Do you think living with your parents keeps you from growing up and becoming independent? Must be nice. My parents kicked me out at 16. I did the same thing regarding chores and helping out. After a certain point, it's like your family becomes roommates, all under the same roof but coming and going all at different times and whatnot. I'd always pitch in with whatever needed to be done and usually purchase my own groceries or toss in money towards them. Everyone knows this. It's just not viable for everyone. Living with my parents for 18 years was hard enough. No amount of money is worth my sanity. It's also not necessarily much cheaper if your parents aren't well off enough to support you and require you to help out with rent, etc. Hell, plenty of parents will make you pay board regardless to teach you the value of it. Factor in money for travel. It would have cost me $90 to bus to and from uni each week alone, and the difference can be pretty negligible. There seems to be a lot of pressure to get out on your own in your 20s in the US. More so in larger cities, where there are larger concentrations of young professionals and students getting high-earning degrees. I've many times heard girls my age call guys losers because they still live at home. I don't agree with that logic, but being independent is definitely more attractive to potential dating partners and friends, because people don't really want to hang out at your mom's house when you're 27. Again, this is referring to more urban areas. You see less of this in rural towns. Not necessarily just tighter family bonds. What you described here would be seen as being dependent on your parents maybe. It's not that we don't like our parents, but many parents here also promote moving out. Wanting you to become independent and learn to live by yourself, but having your back when you need something. I think in general the dynamic is different. The bonds might be just as close, but the want and expectations of each party are different. Multi-generational homes make way more sense when you have kids. Parents are usually working and older. Retired grandparents can take care of a lot of the needs of young children, as well as give them the attention they need to grow, as well as fill in some of the parenting time with their kids they may have had. Splitting the work over 4 people leads to everyone being way less stressed out, too. It's pretty normal where I'm from in early 20s, but as you get older it's more and more looked down upon. I'm 30 next year but still living with my parent because I have 2 kids and I can't afford child care and a place of my own. It makes it hard to meet new people when you're looked down on for living at home. If you had the opportunity, would you move in with your parents? I was very happy at my parents' house, but I wouldn't imagine living there on the long term with my BF. We did it for a few months while I was still at school, but the lack of privacy was kind of awkward. Does this cause any issues sometimes? Or do you have a bigger house perhaps? For an article on Rewire, How to Live with Your Parents the Right Way, returning to your childhood home can be stressful and you should proceed with caution. More 20-somethings in North America are living at home than previous generations. Both the parents and the adult child need to understand the parent-child relationship changes. If you want to be treated like an adult, you must act like one. Parents can have difficulty seeing their kids as adults, so it's important to have a conversation about roles, responsibilities, expectations and boundaries before the child moves back home. They should be treating you the same way they would another adult. Before moving back home, address all questions and concerns. Do I have to pay rent? Do I chip in for groceries? Can my girlfriend stay overnight? What chores can I help out with? Remember, your parents don't have to let you live there. They can make house rules just like you would if it was your own home. Think of your parents as Bob and Joanne, for example, instead of mom and dad. Mutual respect is the key. If your parents try to change your beliefs or views, respond to them like you would a neighbor or coworker. Say, I am not interested in attending church on Sunday. That's my day to relax and run errands. Or something like that. There will be disagreements and frustration, but you can pull through and come out stronger and more financially stable than you would have been living on your own. To those about to return home, I salute you. Keep your elbows off the table and clean up after yourself. I lived with my parents when I was in my 20s and I've managed to maintain excellent credit since then. I bought my dream car and a lovely condo. I follow a budget, but I have what I need to enjoy my life, and I take a wild vacation every year. Good luck. Tell us if you are an adult living with your parents and what country you are in. Please share this video with others who are thinking of moving in with their parents for financial reasons. Drop a comment, click like and subscribe to be notified when I post a new video. Stay awesome.
Díganos si es un adulto que vive con sus padres y en qué país se encuentra. Comparte este video con otras personas que estén pensando en mudarse con sus padres por motivos económicos. Deja un comentario, haz clic en me gusta y suscríbete para recibir una notificación cuando publique un nuevo video.